Hey there, welcome back to the channel. I'm your family doctor, just your family doctor, no fancy titles, no long list of credentials, just someone who's been sitting across from patients like you in a small exam room with a stethoscope around my neck for a good long while, and I'm really glad you're here. If you've watched my videos before, I don't do fear, I don't do hype, I don't do miracle cures or doctors hate this one trick. What I do is take the real science, the kind that comes from places like the CDC, the FDA, the American Heart Association, and the Mayo Clinic, and I translate it into simple, practical things you can actually do in your own kitchen with your own hands without spending a lot of money. So today we're going to talk about something that affects almost every single person over the age of 45 or 50, whether you feel it yet or not. And that thing is your blood vessels, the feeling nobody talks about, but almost everyone has let me start with a question. Have you ever felt like your body just isn't quite what it used to be? Not sick, not broken, not I need to go to the emergency room, just off like an old car that's been driven for 150,000 miles. You know, the feeling, it still starts every morning, it still gets you to work, it still brings you home at night, but there's a new rattle here, a little hesitation there, a weird vibration when you accelerate and you just don't feel that smoothness anymore. I hear this every single week in my office. My patients, especially those in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, will sit down in the chair across from me and they'll say things like this: Doc, I don't feel bad, but I don't feel good either. I'm exhausted by 2 o'clock every afternoon. I used to make it to 5 without a problem. My knees are fine, my heart is fine, my blood work is fine, but I just feel stiff. And here's what they're often feeling, even if they don't have the words for it yet. Even if they've never said it out loud before, they're feeling their blood vessels get older. The river and the swamp, a picture of your blood vessels. Let me give you a mental picture. I use this with my patients all the time, and it really seems to help. Think back to when you were 20s or 30s, your blood vessels, all those thousands of miles of arteries, veins, and capillaries running through your body. They were like a beautiful, fast-moving river, clear water, strong current, cold and fresh and powerful. Every time your heart beat, thump, 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 that river rushed through your entire body, delivering oxygen and fuel to every single cell, from your brain to your toes, from your fingertips to the deepest parts of your liver and kidneys. You didn't think about it. You didn't have to. It just worked. It was just there, like breathing now. Let's be honest with each other. Over time, and life is long and life is hard on the body, that river starts collecting things it shouldn't have: junk, sticks, mud, sludge, gunk, leaves, trash. Maybe it's years of fast food and drive-through dinners because you were too tired to cook. Maybe it's the stress of raising kids, paying a mortgage, caring for aging parents, dealing with a boss who doesn't appreciate you. Maybe it's just the slow, steady, relentless march of time, whatever the reason. And for most of us, it's a combination of many reasons that clear, fast, powerful river starts to turn into something else. A slow-moving swamp, the blood gets thicker, the flow gets slower, and the walls of those vessels, which used to be smooth and slippery like a brand new water slide, start to get rough, bumpy, sticky like sandpaper. And then come the uninvited guests: high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high blood sugar. I call them the three uninvited guests because they never knock on the door. They never send a letter in the mail saying, well, be arriving next Tuesday. They just move in quietly, slowly, without asking permission. And once they're inside your body, once they've set up camp, they do not leave on their own. You can manage them, you can treat them, you can push them into the background, but you have to work at it every single day. There's no one-time fix. The thing that keeps my patients up at 3 o'clock a.m. now, of all the things my patients worry about, and I mean really worry about, the kind of worry that wakes them up at 3 in the morning and won't let them go back to sleep, the scariest one by far is blood clots. And I completely understand why. A blood clot is like an unexploded bomb sitting somewhere inside your body. If it stays quietly stuck to the wall of a blood vessel, if it just sits there minding its own business, not bothering anyone, then honestly, it's not an emergency. Your body can live with that for years, decades even. Most people have some small plaques in their arteries by the time they're 50. That's normal. But if that clot breaks loose, if it starts traveling through your bloodstream, hitching a ride on your circulation, that's when people die. Let me walk you through exactly what happens, not to scare you, but because I think understanding the mechanics helps you see why we're so careful about prevention. Scenario one: a blood clot breaks loose and travels to your heart. It floats along until it reaches one of the coronary arteries. the small but crucial blood vessels that feed your heart muscle, and then it gets stuck. It blocks the artery completely. That's a heart attack. You feel sudden crushing pressure in the center of your chest, like an elephant is sitting on you, like someone put a cinder block on your sternum. You might break out in a cold sweat. You might feel nauseous. You might feel pain shooting down your left arm or up into your jaw or right between your shoulder blades. You might feel like you just can't catch your breath no matter how hard you try. And every single second that passes, heart muscle is dying, not hurting, dying. And heart muscle, unlike some other tissues in your body, does not grow back. Once it's gone forever. Scenario 2, that same clot travels upward instead of downward. It goes through your carotid arteries, the big ones on either side of your neck, and then into your brain, and it blocks a blood vessel there. That's a stroke. One side of your face might droop. You might try to smile and realize that only half of your mouth works. You might try to lift your arm and find that it just hangs there, heavy and useless. Your words might come out slurred, or you might not be able to speak at all. You might understand everything people are saying to you, but you can't form the words to answer. And just like with a heart attack, every minute counts, brain tissue is dying, and the damage can be permanent: partial paralysis, loss of speech, memory problems, personality changes, and in the worst cases, death. I have seen this happen to otherwise healthy, active people, people who walked into my office for a routine physical and seemed perfectly fine, people who had normal blood pressure, normal cholesterol, normal blood sugar, people who went home and had a stroke 3 weeks later, or 3 months later, or 3 years later, because a clot they didn't even know about finally decided to move. It is terrifying, and it's one of the main reasons I make these videos. So what can we actually do about it? Here's where a lot of my patients get really discouraged. They'll sit in my office and they'll say things like this: "Doc, I guess I'm just stuck taking these little colored pills for the rest of my life. I don't want to be one of those people with a shoebox full of medication bottles." You know what I mean? My uncle had a shoebox. My mother-in-law has a shoebox. I don't want a shoebox. Is this really the rest of my life? Just managing symptoms, just keeping things from getting worse? Isn't there something I can actually do? And I get it. I really do. I'm a human being before I'm a doctor. I have my own health struggles. I have my own family members who take multiple medications. Nobody wakes up on their 50th birthday and says, "You know what? I'm excited about adding 3 new prescriptions to my morning routine, but here's the good news." And I mean really good news, the kind of news that makes me genuinely excited to come to work every day. The natural enemy of blood clots has already been discovered. And no, I'm not talking about some fancy $1,000 a month injectable medication that your insurance company will fight you on. I'm not talking about a rare herb that only grows on one mountain in a remote part of the world, and you have to order it from a website that looks like it was built in 1998 and hasn't been updated since. This is already sitting in your kitchen right now. Today, at this very moment, probably within 10 or 15 feet of where you're watching this video. You use it almost every single day, and you have probably never once, not for a single second, thought of it as medicine, just a small pinch. That's all it takes, a tiny amount added to something you're already cooking. Let me tell you a story. I'll call him Bob, not his real name, of course, but has given me permission to share his experience with you. Bob is a retired professor, very smart man, very analytical, very skeptical, the kind of person who reads the abstract of a medical study before he even agrees to discuss it with me, the kind of person who brings a printout to his appointments. He heard about this method from a neighbor at a backyard barbecue. He was deeply skeptical, but his wife kept mentioning it every few days. "Honey, have you tried that thing that Dr. G talked about? Honey, I bought the tea. Honey, you said you would at least try it." So finally, not because he believed it would work, but because he wanted to prove his wife wrong, Bob decided to try it. Less than 1 week later, Bob walked into my office and sat down in the same chair he always sits in, and he said, and I quote exactly, "Doc, I don't know what's happening, but I feel different. I feel lighter. My head feels clearer in the morning. I'm not crashing at 2 o'clock in the afternoon like I have been for years." I said, "Bob, let's run some tests." We did a full vascular workup. That's a series of imaging tests that look at your blood vessels from the big carotid arteries in your neck all the way down to the tiny vessels in your ankles and feet. When the results came back, even the radiologist, the specialist doctor who reads these scans every single day, all day long, was surprised. He called me himself, which he almost never does. And he said, "These vessels look like someone 20 years younger now." And this is very important. I am not telling you this story to promise you the same results. Medicine does not work like magic. Every body is different. Every person's genetics, diet, lifestyle, and medical history are different. Bob's results are Bob's results, but here's the thing that I think is really worth paying attention to. This isn't some internet myth. This isn't a one weird trick that some random blogger made up in their basement. This isn't something I read on Facebook. Many of my colleagues, actual board certified physicians, the ones I go to for my own healthcare, the ones I trust with my own family, use this method for themselves and for their families quietly without posting about it on social media. So what is this kitchen superhero in today's video? And I'm going to warn you, this is a long one. So you might want to get yourself a cup of tea or a glass of water and settle in. I'm going to share with you two powerful science-backed vessel cleaning secrets, and I promise you by the end of this video, you are going to want to try at least one of them. Before we dive in, please do this one small thing for me. Now, before I get into the details, let me ask you a small favor. If you are someone who genuinely cares about your health, and I know you are because you're still watching this video, and these videos are not short, please take 2 seconds right now and hit that subscribe button. And while you're there, tap the little bell icon. That little bell is what tells YouTube, hey, I actually want to know when this doctor posts a new video. Otherwise, the algorithm might just decide you're not interested and you'll never see me again. I put out new content every week. No fear, no hype, no clickbait. Just real practical science-based information that you can actually use in your daily life. And if what I'm about to say speaks to you, if you feel like I'm talking directly to your situation, like I'm describing your own body or your own worries, type the number 1 in the comments below. It helps more than you know. It tells me that you want more of this kind of content, and it helps the algorithm show this video to other people who need to hear it, people who might be silently struggling with the same things you are. All right, let's get to work. Part 1. The white rice problem and why it matters for your blood vessels. To understand how to clean our blood vessels, we first have to look at what we eat every single day, sometimes 3 times a day, sometimes more if you're a snacker like me. Let me ask you something honest. Don't answer out loud. Just think about it in your head. What's the one food that shows up on your plate more than any other? What's the foundation of most of your meals for many of us? And I'm including myself here because I grew up eating this and I still eat it. It's white rice. And look, I want to be really clear about this. I am not here to demonize white rice. I am not going to tell you that white rice is poison or that you have to give it up forever or that it's toxic or inflammatory in some dramatic way. I love white rice, I really do. A good slow cooked beef stew over a bed of steaming, fluffy white rice. That's comfort food, that's home, that's what I want to eat on a cold, rainy Sunday afternoon. But here's the problem that our grandparents and great-grandparents didn't have to deal with. The white rice we eat today is highly processed, much more processed than the rice people ate 100 years ago or even 50 years ago back in the old days. And I don't mean the Stone Age. I mean just a few generations back, rice came with its outer layers intact. The bran and the germ, that's where most of the fiber lives, that's where most of the vitamins and minerals live, that's what made rice a whole food instead of a refined grain. But modern milling machines, the ones used by almost every major rice brand you see at Walmart or Kroger or Safeway or Costco, strip all that away. They polish the rice over and over until it's white and shiny, perfectly smooth. It looks beautiful, it feels nice in your mouth, but nutritionally it's almost empty. What's left is almost pure starch. Soft, white, fast digesting starch, and here's the problem when you eat that kind of rice, especially on an empty stomach or as the main part of your meal, or without enough protein and fat to slow down digestion, your blood sugar spikes, fast, hard, high, like a rocket taking off. We call this a high glycemic food, and it is genuinely a problem for your blood vessels, especially as you get older. Let me give you a mental picture, because I find that pictures stick in your brain better than numbers or chemical names. Imagine you take a beautiful tender piece of raw chicken or a nice fresh steak if you prefer, and you put it in a bowl, then you pour sugar water over it. Not Diet Coke, not a little bit of honey, thick, heavy, concentrated sugar water, the kind you might use to make candy. Now leave that bowl on your kitchen counter for a few hours. Just let it sit there. What happens to that meat? It becomes stiff, leathery, tough. It loses all its natural bounce, all its flexibility, all its moisture. It's not soft and tender anymore. It's hard and rubbery. That is exactly what happens to the inside of your blood vessels. When your blood sugar shoots up after every single meal, day after day, week after week, year after year, the sugar molecules actually stick to the walls of your arteries. They cause little chemical reactions. They create inflammation. They make the normally smooth and slippery vessel walls become rough and bumpy, like a road full of potholes after a bad winter, like sandpaper instead of glass. And guess what loves to stick to rough surfaces? Fat, cholesterol, calcium, platelets, all the stuff that builds up into plaque. That plaque, that bumpy, sticky, ugly buildup is the very beginning of a blood clot. So now you're stuck in a real trap, a genuine dilemma. You love your white rice, you're not going to give it up. I'm not even asking you to give it up. I wouldn't give it up either. But you also don't want to destroy your blood vessels and end up in the hospital with a heart attack or a stroke. You don't want to be that person who says, I wish I had known sooner. So what do? You don't give up rice, you upgrade it. And here is the simple, brilliant, ancient but fully modern trick that my patients love because it's so easy, so cheap, and so effective. Part 2, green tea rice, the vessel cleaner. The first kitchen superhero is something you almost certainly already have in your house, probably in your cupboard, your pantry, or that messy tea drawer that every household has. The one where all the half-empty boxes of tea live, mixed together with old spice jars and loose granola bars, green tea. I know I can already hear what some of you are thinking. I've been doing this long enough to predict the reactions. Wait a second, Doc, green tea is for drinking. It's a beverage. You put it in a cup with hot water. You're telling me to put it in my rice cooker. That sounds weird. That sounds like some kind of internet hack that's going to taste terrible, please. Just stay with me for the next few minutes. Keep an open mind. You might be very pleasantly surprised. In Japan, which, by the way, is one of the longest lived populations on the entire planet. Many of their centenarians, people who live to be 100 or older, have eaten tea rice or tea porridge for generations, for hundreds of years. This isn't a new TikTok trend. This isn't a wellness influencer trying to sell you a sponsored product. This isn't something I read about on a random blog. This is traditional wisdom that modern science is finally catching up to and confirming. So why does green tea rice actually work from a medical perspective? What's the mechanism? What's actually happening inside your body? The secret is a powerful natural compound called tea polyphenols. Let me break that down for you. Polyphenols is a fancy word, I know, but the concept is actually very simple. Think of polyphenols as a highly trained, never get tired, working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week cleaning crew for your blood. Reason number one, polyphenols are powerful antioxidants. You know how a metal pipe that's left outside in the rain and the sun eventually gets covered in rust? That brown, flaky, crusty stuff, that's oxidation. That's what happens when oxygen reacts with metal over time or with any material. Really, your blood vessels go through the same process, the same kind of rusting, just slower. Over decades instead of months, polyphenols act like a high-quality rust-proof coating. They float through your bloodstream and neutralize the little chemical particles. They're called free radicals that would otherwise damage your vessel walls. By doing that, they help keep your arteries flexible and elastic, not stiff and brittle, not like an old rubber hose left in the garage for 10 years, like a brand new garden hose, bendable, bouncy, resilient. Reason number two, polyphenols are garbage collectors as we get older, and I'm sorry to be the bearer of this news. But it's true for every single one of us. Our bloodstream naturally collects more sticky particles, bad cholesterol, that's LDL triglycerides, inflammatory junk from processed foods, cellular debris, old worn out cells. Polyphenols help break that junk down. They attach to it, break it into smaller pieces, and then escort it out of your body through your liver and kidneys. Imagine someone going through your arteries with a small, gentle scraper, not a harsh metal one, but something soft and effective, removing years of sticky buildup like scraping old bumper stickers off a car window. That's what polyphenols do, just on a microscopic level. Reason number three, and this one surprises almost all of my patients, green tea rice actually helps your stomach. It's not just for your blood vessels. Have you ever eaten something really greasy, maybe a little too much bacon at breakfast, or leftover pizza from the night before, or a heavy fast food burger with extra cheese and special sauce, and then afterwards, 30 minutes later, an hour later, you feel that heavy, oily, almost nauseated feeling in your stomach, like there's a brick sitting in your gut, like your digestive system is just struggling. That's your gallbladder and your liver working overtime to process all that fat. And sometimes they need help. Green tea rice cuts right through that. The natural compounds in tea, the same polyphenols we just talked about, help soothe low-grade inflammation in your stomach lining. They help your digestive system break down fats more efficiently. They encourage your gallbladder to release bile in a steady, measured way instead of all at once. Many of my patients tell me, Doc, I actually feel lighter after eating it. I don't get that weighed down, uncomfortable feeling anymore. especially after a big meal, and that's a real quality of life improvement. That's not just lab numbers. That's how you feel in your own body, in your own kitchen, at your own dinner table, how to make green tea rice, two complete methods. So now let's get practical. Let's talk about how you actually make this stuff because I can give you all the science in the world. But if you don't know how to cook it, it's useless. I'm going to give you two complete methods. One for busy weeknights when you're exhausted and just want to eat something without a lot of fuss, and one for weekends or evenings when you have an extra 10 or 15 minutes and you want the best possible flavor and texture. Method one, the lazy weeknight version, works for everyone. This is so simple that I promise you cannot mess it up. Even if you've never cooked anything more complicated than toast, you can do this. Step one, wash your white rice the way you normally do. Put it in your rice cooker. If you don't have a rice cooker, you can use a regular pot on the stove. Just use the same method. Step two, add the same amount of water you always use. Don't overthink this. Don't measure it differently. Just do what you normally do. If you normally use 2 cups of water for 1 cup of rice, use 2 cups of water if you use the finger method. Stick your finger in and measure to the first knuckle. Use the finger method. Don't change anything. Step 3, take about 3 to 5 grams of loose green tea leaves. That's about 1 to 2 teaspoons. Drop them right into the rice cooker, right on top of the rice and water, or even easier, just grab a regular green tea bag from your box. Any brand, doesn't have to be expensive. The cheap stuff works fine. Don't unwrap it. Don't cut it open. Just toss the whole bag into the rice cooker. Step 4, close the lid, press the cook button, walk away, go fold some laundry. Answer some emails, play with your dog, help your kids with homework, whatever you need to do. When the rice cooker beeps or when you hear that little song that some rice cookers play and you open the lid, you'll smell something amazing, a gentle, fresh, almost grassy tea aroma, not overpowering, not perfumey or floral, just clean like a spring morning. Take out the tea leaves or the tea bag, throw them away, don't eat them. They've done their job. What you're left with is pale green rice, gorgeous, fragrant, and working for your blood vessels with every single bite. That's it. That's the lazy version. It takes about 10 extra seconds of active time. Method 2, the slightly fancier version, better flavor and texture. If you have an extra 10 or 15 minutes, and if you want a more consistent, more restaurant quality result, this is for you. Step 1, take about 5 grams of green tea leaves, a little more than the lazy version, and wrap them in a small clean cheesecloth or a reusable muslin tea bag. Tie it closed with kitchen twine or just not the cloth. Step 2, pour boiling water over the tea bag, just enough to cover it. Wait about 10 seconds, then pour that water out. Don't save it, don't reuse it. In traditional tea culture and in many Asian cooking traditions, this is called washing the tea. It removes any dust or debris from the leaves. It also removes a little bit of the bitterness, which is nice when you're cooking with tea. The first steep is always the most bitter. Step 3. Pour fresh boiling water over the same tea bag and let it steep for 10 minutes, not 2 minutes, not 5 minutes, 10 minutes. This is important. A lot of people only steep tea for 2 or 3 minutes when they're drinking it. That's fine for drinking, but for cooking, you want to extract as many of the polyphenols as possible, and that takes time. 10 minutes is the sweet spot. Step 4, take that brewed tea, now golden and aromatic, probably a beautiful pale amber green color, and use it instead of plain water to cook your rice. Same amount of liquid you always use. Step 5, cook as normal, rice cooker or pot on the stove, either one works. The result: rice that's softer, more evenly infused, and absolutely delicious. The tea flavor is present, but not overwhelming. It's subtle, it's elegant. Even my picky patients, the ones who say they hate weird, healthy food and anything that tastes different. Like this version, I've had people come back to me and say, "Doc, I made that tea rice for my family and nobody even noticed it was healthy. They just ate it." Important cautions for green tea rice. I wouldn't be a good doctor. I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't give you the warnings too, because every good thing in medicine has a but. Every intervention has potential downsides and you deserve to know what they are. Caution number 1, don't make the tea too strong. If you use super concentrated tea, like if you steep it for 20 or 30 minutes, or if you use twice as many tea bags as I recommended, your rice will taste bitter. Not just a little different bitter, like chewing on a tea bag. Like licking an aspirin, and if it tastes bitter, you won't want to eat it, and if you don't want to eat it, you won't eat it, and if you don't eat it, you get zero benefit. So keep it mild, keep it gentle. Think of the tea as a background note, not the main melody, a subtle harmony, not a solo. Caution number 2, and this is critical, I mean genuinely critical: never ever under any circumstances use leftover tea from yesterday. I really do know some of you were raised not to waste anything. I was raised the same way. My grandmother would reuse tea bags 3 or 4 times before she threw them away. She would save leftover coffee in a jar in the refrigerator. She would eat leftovers from a week ago. I understand the impulse. I respect the thriftiness. But here's the honest medical truth: tea that sits out overnight, even in the refrigerator, even covered, grows bacteria, lots of bacteria, and those bacteria can give you a nasty stomach bug. We're talking cramps, diarrhea, nausea, vomiting, fever, dehydration, the exact opposite of health, the exact opposite of what we're trying to achieve. And it's not just the bacteria, the polyphenols, the very compounds that help your blood vessels break down over time. They oxidize, they lose their potency. So even if you don't get sick, you're not getting the benefit. So please, I'm asking you, as your doctor, make fresh tea for your rice every single time. Don't cut this corner. It's not worth it. Caution number 3, if you're sensitive to caffeine, adjust your timing. Green tea has caffeine less than coffee. A cup of green tea typically has about 30 to 50 milligrams of caffeine compared to 95 to 150 milligrams in a cup of coffee. But it's not zero, and for some people, even small amounts matter. If you have trouble sleeping, if you're the kind of person who lies awake at night staring at the ceiling, or if you get jitters, heart palpitations, or anxiety from caffeine, then eat green tea rice at lunchtime, not at dinner. That gives your body 6 to 8 hours to process the caffeine before you go to bed. Most people do fine with that, but if you're very sensitive, if a cup of coffee at 2 p.m. keeps you awake until 2 a.m., then maybe green tea rice isn't for you, or maybe you only eat it on weekends when it doesn't matter if you sleep a little less. Caution number 4, if you have a known stomach issue, be careful. Green tea is slightly cooling. That's the traditional way of describing it. And it can stimulate stomach acid production. For most people, that's fine. For some people, that's even helpful, especially if they have low stomach acid. But if you already struggle with acid reflux, GERD, heartburn, peptic ulcers, or gastritis, if you're already taking medications like omeprazole or famotidine or Tums every day, green tea might make things worse. If that's you, don't worry, you have options. I'm about to give you 3 excellent alternatives. What if green tea isn't right for you? 3 great alternatives. Because one size never fits all in medicine, and I don't want anyone to walk away from this video feeling like they can't participate, like this advice doesn't apply to them, like they're left out. Here are 3 alternatives to green tea rice, each with its own unique benefits, each backed by science, each delicious in its own way. Alternative 1, Pu'er tea rice. Pu'er is a fermented tea. It comes from the same plant as green tea and black tea, Camellia sinensis, but it's processed differently. It's aged sometimes for years, sometimes for decades. The flavor is earthy, smooth, rich, and complex. Some people describe it as woody or mushroomy in a good way. It's not bitter like green tea can be. In the nutrition research world, Pu'er is often called a cholesterol-lowering tea. There have been multiple studies, some in animals, some in humans, showing that regular Pu'er consumption can help reduce LDL cholesterol, the bad kind, without affecting HDL, the good kind. If your last blood test showed high LDL, if your doctor said your cholesterol is a little high, let's work on diet and exercise. Pu'er rice is a great choice for you. It's also much gentler on the stomach than green tea. The fermentation process breaks down some of the compounds that can irritate sensitive stomachs. So if green tea bothers you, try Pu'er first. You might love it. Alternative 2, black tea rice. Black tea is fully fermented. It's what most Americans think of when they hear the word tea: Lipton, Tetley, Earl Grey, English breakfast. It's warm, rich, malty, and soothing. It's the tea you drink with milk and sugar on a cold morning in traditional medicine systems. And in a decent amount of modern research, black tea is known for being stomach friendly. It's less likely to cause irritation than green tea. If you're someone whose stomach feels cold or achy after eating, especially in the winter or after eating cold foods, black tea rice can be wonderfully comforting. It almost feels like a warm blanket for your digestive system. Now, full honesty, black tea has fewer polyphenols than green tea. The fermentation process changes the chemical structure. Some of the polyphenols get converted into other compounds, theaflavins and theorubigens, which are still good for you, but not as powerful for blood vessels as the catechins in green tea. So is black tea rice as good for your blood vessels as green tea rice? Probably not, but is it still good for you? Absolutely. And if it's the difference between you trying this method or not trying it, then black tea is the right choice for you. Alternative 3, Oolong tea rice. Oolong is partially fermented, somewhere between green tea, which is not fermented, and black tea, which is fully fermented. The fermentation level can vary a lot. Some oolongs are closer to green, some are closer to black. Where oolong really shines, and I mean really shines, is blood sugar control. There's a surprisingly strong body of research on this. Multiple clinical trials have shown that oolong tea can help improve insulin sensitivity and lower post-meal blood sugar spikes. It seems to work through several different mechanisms, some related to polyphenols, some related to other compounds that are unique to partially fermented teas. If you're pre-diabetic, if your doctor has told you that your blood sugar is creeping up and you need to make changes, oolong rice is definitely worth trying. If you already have type 2 diabetes and you're managing it with medication, diet, and exercise, oolong rice could be a helpful addition, and this is a big but, if you are on diabetes medication, especially insulin or sulfonylureas like glipizide or glyburide, adding oolong to your diet can lower your blood sugar even more. That sounds like a good thing, and it can be, but it can also drop your blood sugar too low, a condition called hypoglycemia, if your medication dose isn't adjusted. Symptoms of hypoglycemia include shakiness, sweating, confusion, irritability, and in severe cases, loss of consciousness. So please talk to your doctor before making this change. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to keep you safe. That's my job. So you see, you have options. You can absolutely customize this based on your body, your taste, your health conditions, and your medications: green tea, pu'er, black tea, oolong. Pick the one that works for you. Don't force yourself to eat something you don't enjoy. Part 3, buckwheat, the all-around defender of your blood vessels. Now, let me introduce you to the second kitchen superhero. And I already know what some of you are thinking because I see the exact same reaction in my exam room every single time I bring this up. I'll be sitting there reviewing a patient's blood work and I'll say, I think buckwheat could really help you. And the patient's face will fall, their eyes will get this look. Like I just suggested, they eat cardboard for the rest of their life. Buckwheat, they'll say, oh no, doc, that's that rough, dry, scratchy stuff from the old days. My grandmother ate that during the war when there was nothing else. My grandfather ate that during the Depression. We have real food now. Why would I go back to that? I hear you. I really do. I grew up hearing the same things from my own relatives. We ate enough buckwheat when we were poor. We're not going back. But let me tell you, and I mean this sincerely from the bottom of my doctor heart, you are missing out on one of the most underrated health foods in the entire grocery store. In nutrition science, and I'm talking about peer-reviewed journals, not Instagram, buckwheat is often called the all-around champion, the king of grains, even though it's technically not a grain. It's a seed, but that's a detail for another day. It's not pretty. It's not going to win any beauty contests. It's not going to be featured on the cover of a fancy food magazine next to a perfectly arranged avocado toast, but it is absolutely packed with benefits for your blood vessels, for your heart, for your blood sugar, for your digestion, for your whole body. Let me walk you through them one by one. Don't worry. I won't make it too science heavy, but I want you to understand why this humble little seed is so powerful. Benefit 1, buckwheat contains rutin, the clot fighter. This is the biggest benefit. This is the one I want you to remember. This is the headline. Buckwheat contains a unique compound called rutin. Sometimes called vitamin P, though that's an older name that isn't used much in modern medicine. Rutin is like pouring a thin layer of reinforced concrete inside your tiniest, most fragile blood vessels, the capillaries. Let me explain what capillaries are because a lot of people don't know. Capillaries are the smallest blood vessels in your body. They're so small that red blood cells, which are already microscopic, have to go through them single file, one at a time, squeezing through like cars through a narrow tunnel. And capillaries are everywhere in your skin, in your muscles, in your organs, in your brain, in your eyes, in your fingertips, everywhere as we age, and there's no way around this. These tiny vessels become brittle, less flexible, more fragile. Think of an old rubber band that's been sitting in a drawer for 10 years. It's stiff, it's cracked, it's lost all its stretch. If you try to use it, it just snaps. That's what happens to your capillaries over time. When your blood pressure surges from stress, from salt, from a hard workout, from a hot day, from 1,000 different things, those brittle capillaries can rupture, they can break. They can leak blood into the surrounding tissue. That's how you get things like easy bruising. You bump your arm against the counter and suddenly there's a big purple mark. That's how you get nosebleeds. That's how you get small red spots on your skin called petechiae. And in the worst cases, That's how you get tiny microbleeds in your brain, little tiny leaks that you never feel, that don't cause dramatic symptoms, but that add up over time and contribute to cognitive decline, memory problems, and even vascular dementia. Rutin strengthens the walls of these tiny vessels. It keeps them flexible and resilient like a new rubber band, like a garden hose that's still soft and bendable instead of stiff and cracked. But here's the even more impressive part, the part that makes me excited as a doctor. Rutin has anti-clotting properties. It actually helps dissolve tiny, microscopic clots before they have a chance to grow into big, dangerous ones. Think of it as a small cleanup crew that patrols your bloodstream 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Whenever it finds a little clump of platelets starting to stick together, a tiny little clot beginning to form, it breaks them apart, it sends them on their way, it keeps your blood flowing smoothly. That's huge. That's heart attack prevention and stroke prevention built right into a humble seed that costs less than $1 per serving at Walmart. Benefit 2, buckwheat boosts your metabolism. How many of you have said something like this to your doctor? Be honest, I'm not eating any more than I used to. In fact, I'm eating less, but I keep gaining weight. I feel heavy and sluggish all the time. No matter how much I sleep, I wake up tired. Even walking up the stairs to my bedroom, the same stairs I've walked up for 20 years. Wears me out now. That's often slow metabolism. Your body's engine isn't running as efficiently as it used to. The furnace isn't burning as hot. The gears aren't turning as smoothly. Buckwheat helps speed things back up. It's rich in B vitamins, especially B1 thiamine, B2 riboflavin, and B6 pyridoxine, and trace minerals like magnesium, zinc, and manganese that are absolutely essential for metabolic function. Magnesium alone is involved in more than 300 different chemical reactions in your body, 300. And most Americans don't get enough of it, and buckwheat improves circulation, especially to your hands and feet. I can't tell you how many of my patients, especially women over 50, but also plenty of men, complain about cold hands and cold feet. They'll say, "Doc, my feet are freezing even in the summer," or "My husband won't let me put my cold feet on him in bed anymore." After a few weeks of eating buckwheat regularly, not a huge amount, just a few times a week, many of them come back and tell me, my fingers don't get as cold anymore. I don't have to wear 2 pairs of socks in the winter. It's a small thing, but it makes a big difference to me. That's real. That's improved circulation, and improved circulation is good for every single organ in your body. Benefit 3, buckwheat supports healthy blood sugar for my patients with prediabetes or type 2 diabetes. And that's a lot of you because this is an epidemic in America. A genuine public health crisis. This benefit is huge, life-changing for some people. Buckwheat contains chromium, a trace mineral that helps your body use insulin more effectively. Let me explain this in very simple terms because a lot of people get confused about insulin in many people with type 2 diabetes. It's not that they don't have insulin, their pancreas is making plenty of it, sometimes too much of it. The problem is that their cells don't listen to insulin anymore. Insulin is like a key. It's supposed to unlock the doors of your cells, the little doors on the surface of every cell, so that sugar glucose can leave your bloodstream and enter your cells to be burned as energy. In healthy people, the key turns smoothly, the door opens, the sugar goes in, and blood sugar stays normal. But in type 2 diabetes, the locks are rusty. The key doesn't work as well. It jams, it sticks. The door doesn't open all the way, so the sugar stays in your bloodstream and your blood sugar stays high, and over time that high blood sugar damages your blood vessels, your nerves, your kidneys, your eyes, everything. Chromium helps clean those rusty locks. It helps your cells become more sensitive to insulin again. It's like putting a little WD-40 on a sticky lock. That means more sugar leaves your bloodstream and enters your cells, and that means lower, steadier, healthier blood sugar throughout the day. Now, and I have to say this very clearly, chromium is not a replacement for diabetes medication. If you're on metformin or insulin or any other diabetes drug, do not stop taking it because you started eating buckwheat. That could be dangerous. That could send your blood sugar too high or cause other problems. But as a support to your medication, as a way to make your medication work better, so you might eventually need less of it. As a way to prevent your blood sugar from spiking as high after meals, absolutely. Talk to your doctor, bring it up at your next appointment. Benefit 4, buckwheat and colon cancer prevention. I don't use the word cure lightly. I never say something prevents cancer unless the evidence is strong, really strong. And for colon cancer, the evidence for dietary fiber is extremely strong. It's one of the most well-established relationships in all of nutritional epidemiology. Buckwheat's fiber content is 10 times higher than white rice. Let me say that again, 10 times higher. That's not a small difference. That's not a rounding error. That's a massive, dramatic, meaningful difference. Here's what that fiber does inside your body. It acts like a strong, gentle brush moving through your intestines, from your stomach all the way down through your small intestine, then your large intestine, then your rectum. As it moves, it sweeps up waste, toxins, bile acids, excess hormones, and other metabolic debris that can linger in your gut and cause trouble over time. The faster those things move through your system, the less time they have to sit there marinating, damaging the cells that line your colon. And that damage over many years, over decades, is what leads to colon cancer. If you struggle with constipation, and many of my middle-aged and older patients do, buckwheat will help get things moving again, not by irritating your gut like some harsh stimulant laxatives, the kind that give you cramps and urgency, but by giving your body the natural bulk it needs to clear itself out gently, effectively, and comfortably. And here's something else. Fiber also feeds the good bacteria in your gut, your microbiome. Those good bacteria ferment the fiber and produce short-chain fatty acids, which are anti-inflammatory and protective against all kinds of diseases, not just colon cancer. So when you eat buckwheat, you're not just cleaning out your colon, you're also feeding your gut garden. Benefit 5, buckwheat for gout. Gout is miserable. I don't say that lightly. I've had patients cry in my office from the pain of a gout flare. Big, strong men, tough women who never complain about anything in tears. It happens when uric acid builds up in your blood and forms sharp, needle-like crystals in your joints, usually the big toe, but sometimes the ankles, knees, wrists, fingers, and elbows. Those crystals are like tiny shards of glass inside your joint. Every time you move, they grind against the sensitive tissues. The pain is excruciating, and many healthy foods that are good for most people, are high in purines, which raise uric acid. Red meat, organ meats like liver and kidney, shellfish, shrimp, lobster, crab, certain fish like sardines and anchovies, and of course, beer. So people with gout often feel like they can't eat anything enjoyable, like every meal is a potential trigger. Buckwheat is low in purines. You can eat it without triggering a flare. Plus, and this is an extra bonus, because buckwheat supports kidney function and overall metabolism, and because it's a good source of magnesium and other minerals that help excrete uric acid. It may actually help your body get rid of excess uric acid more efficiently. So if you have gout, or if you have a family history of gout, or if your doctor has told you that your uric acid is creeping up, buckwheat is an excellent choice for you. Benefit 6. Natural anti-inflammatory properties. This is the cherry on top, the bonus round. The extra credit: buckwheat has natural antibacterial and anti-inflammatory effects. In older generations, before modern antibiotics were available, people would make a warm buckwheat porridge when they had a cold, a cough, a fever, or any kind of respiratory infection. They didn't know the science behind it. They didn't know about polyphenols or flavonoids or any of that. They just knew that when they ate buckwheat, they felt better, and they passed that knowledge down through generations. Today, we know that chronic low-grade inflammation is at the root of almost every age-related disease: heart disease, arthritis, dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, some cancers, even depression and anxiety. Eating anti-inflammatory foods like buckwheat on a regular basis, not once in a while, but as a consistent part of your diet, is one of the smartest long-term investments you can make in your health. It won't fix everything. It won't reverse years of damage overnight. It won't make you young again, but it will move you in the right direction a little bit every day, and over months and years that adds up. How to actually eat buckwheat without hating it, the complete guide. Okay, now for the practical part, the part you've been waiting for, because I can give you all the science in the world, 6 benefits, multiple studies, all the details, but if the food tastes bad, you're not going to eat it. And I want you to actually use this information. I want you to get the benefit. Here's the honest truth, doctor to patient. If you take raw, plain buckwheat and cook it like white rice by itself with nothing else, no blending, you're probably not going to like it. It's chewy, it's dense, it has a strong, earthy, nutty flavor that takes some getting used to. Some people love it right away. Most people don't, and it takes forever to soften. If you try to cook unsoaked buckwheat in a rice cooker with the same amount of water as white rice, you'll end up with hard, crunchy pellets that hurt your teeth. So here's what we do instead. We blend it with white rice. Best of both worlds. You get the texture and flavor you already love, the soft, fluffy, familiar comfort of white rice, plus all the nutrition and vessel protecting benefits of buckwheat. This is the method that my patients actually stick with. This is the method that gets results, because it's the method that people will actually do more than once. Easy buckwheat and white rice blend, step by step, complete. Step 1, go to your local grocery store: Walmart, Kroger, Safeway, Publix, Whole Foods, Aldi, wherever you normally shop and buy raw. Hulled buckwheat, important distinction. There are two kinds of buckwheat commonly available. Raw hulled buckwheat is what you want. It's pale tan or light brown. It has a mild, slightly sweet, slightly nutty flavor. It's not roasted. Kasha is roasted buckwheat. It's darker brown. It has a very strong, intense, smoky, toasty flavor. Some people love it, some people hate it. For your first try, get raw, hulled buckwheat. It's more neutral and easier to blend with white rice. Step 2. Measure out 1 part buckwheat to 2 or 3 parts white rice, for example, half a cup of buckwheat to 1 cup of white rice, or 1 cup of buckwheat to 2 cups of white rice, or 3/4 of a cup of buckwheat to 1.5 cups of white rice. The exact ratio is not critical. Start with 1 to 3 if you're nervous. Work your way up to 1 to 2. Step 3, soak the buckwheat in warm water for 2 to 4 hours. I cannot overstate how important this step is. Do not skip it. Do not say, oh, I don't have time. I'll just cook it dry. Soaking softens the hard outer layer of the buckwheat. It reduces cooking time dramatically. It makes the final texture much more pleasant, less chewy, more tender, and it actually makes the nutrients more bioavailable, meaning your body can absorb them more easily. If you forget to soak ahead of time because life happens, because you have kids, because you work 2 jobs, here's a shortcut. Pour boiling water over the buckwheat and let it sit for 1 hour. That's not as good as 2 to 4 hours, but it's better than nothing. Step 4, drain the soaking water. Don't reuse it. Don't save it for soup. Don't drink it. It'll have some bitterness and some antinutrients, compounds that can interfere with mineral absorption that you want to get rid of. Step 5, rinse your white rice gently. Don't overwash it. 2 or 3 rinses is plenty. You're not trying to remove every single grain of starch. You're just trying to get rid of excess dust and debris. Step 6, combine both grains in your rice cooker. Dump in the soaked, drained buckwheat and the rinsed white rice. Give them a gentle stir with a rice paddle or a spoon so they're mixed together. Step 7, add water. Here's a small but important detail. Buckwheat absorbs more water than white rice, significantly more. So you need to add a little more water than you normally would. If you normally use 2 cups of water for 1 cup of white rice, try 2 1/4 cups of water for the blend. If you're using a 1 to 2 ratio of buckwheat to rice, try 2 1/3 cups. If you're using a 1 to 1 ratio, which is more advanced, try 2.5 cups. You'll learn what works best for your specific rice cooker after 1 or 2 tries. Don't stress about it. Rice is forgiving. Step 8, cook as normal. Close the lid, press the cook button, walk away. Step 9, when it's done, let it rest. Don't open the lid immediately. Let it sit for 5 or 10 minutes with the lid closed. This allows the moisture to distribute evenly. Step 10, fluff and serve. Open the lid, use a rice paddle or a fork to gently fluff the rice. Don't mash it, don't stir it vigorously, just fluff it. The result is genuinely lovely visually. It's beautiful white grains dotted with darker, earthier buckwheat, like snow on dark soil, like stars in a night sky. The texture is soft, but with a pleasant little chew. Not mushy, not hard, just right. And the taste slightly nutty, slightly sweet, surprisingly satisfying. Even my patients who said, and I quote, I will never eat buckwheat, not if you paid me, not if my life depended on it, have come back to me weeks later and said, okay, doc, that was actually pretty good. 2 very important warnings before you start cooking anything, because I'm your doctor first and a YouTuber second. And I take that responsibility very, very seriously. Warning 1, go slow with your stomach if you have a sensitive digestive system. And I'm talking about things like acid reflux, GERD, peptic ulcers, irritable bowel syndrome, IBS. Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, or just getting bloated easily after meals. Don't jump straight to a 1 to 2 ratio of buckwheat to rice. Your gut is not used to that much fiber. If you shock it, if you go from 0 fiber to a lot of fiber overnight, you will feel uncomfortable gas, bloating, cramps, loud stomach noises, maybe even diarrhea or constipation depending on your individual system. So start small, really small. Try 1 part buckwheat to 10 parts white rice. That's almost all rice, just a sprinkle of buckwheat. You'll barely notice it's there. Eat that for 3 or 4 days. See how you feel. If your stomach is fine, no extra bloating, no discomfort, no change in your bowel habits, then increase to 1 part buckwheat to 5 parts rice. Eat that for another 3 or 4 days. If that's still fine, go to 1 part buckwheat to 3 parts rice. And finally, if everything is still good, go to 1 part buckwheat to 2 parts rice. That gradual approach might feel slow. It might feel like you're not making progress, but it works. Your gut needs time to adjust to more fiber. That's normal. That's healthy. Honor that process. And if at any point you feel significant discomfort, not just mild gas, but real pain or bloating that interferes with your day, back off. Go back to the previous ratio for a while. There's no prize for rushing. There's no medal for eating the most buckwheat. Warning 2, and this is the most important warning in this entire video. Do not stop your medications because you started eating green tea rice or buckwheat rice. I am going to say this again because it is that important. Do not stop your medications. I have seen patients do this. I have seen them end up in the emergency room. I have seen one patient have a stroke because he stopped his blood thinner after reading something online. Please, I am begging you, do not be that patient. Green tea and buckwheat are foods. They are not medicine. They have health benefits, real benefits, meaningful benefits. I wouldn't be making this video if I didn't believe that, but those benefits are modest. They are supportive. They are not strong enough to replace prescription medications, especially not strong medications like blood thinners, blood pressure drugs, diabetes drugs, or cholesterol drugs. If you are on warfarin, Coumadin, apixaban, Eliquis, rivaroxaban, Xarelto, or any other blood thinner, green tea contains vitamin K, which can interact with these medications. That doesn't mean you can't eat green tea rice. It means you need to be consistent. Don't eat it one day and not the next. And you need to tell your doctor so they can monitor your blood levels. If you are on blood pressure medication like lisinopril, amlodipine, losartan, metoprolol, or any of the others, green tea and buckwheat may have mild blood pressure lowering effects. That's generally good. But if your medication is already lowering your blood pressure, adding these foods might lower it too much, causing dizziness, lightheadedness, or fainting. If you are on diabetes medication, especially insulin or sulfonylureas, glipizide, glyburide, adding buckwheat may lower your blood sugar further, potentially into the danger zone, hypoglycemia. So here is my official board certified, no nonsense. Advice, keep taking your medications exactly as prescribed, exactly as your doctor told you to take them. Add green tea rice and buckwheat rice as lifestyle support, not as a replacement for medicine. And before you make any significant change to your daily diet, especially if you have a chronic medical condition or take prescription medications, bring it up at your next checkup. Tell your doctor, hey, I've been thinking about trying this. What do you think? That's what we're here for. That's our job. We want to help you make safe, effective, sustainable changes. Let me quickly summarize because I know life is busy, because I know you have a million things to do. I know you're watching this on your phone while making dinner or folding laundry or waiting for your kid to finish soccer practice. Here's the short version: green tea rice. The polyphenols act like a cleaning crew for your blood vessels. They reduce oxidation, rusting. They break down sticky cholesterol. They help keep your arteries flexible. Plus, they soothe your stomach after greasy meals. Buckwheat rice. The rutin strengthens tiny blood vessels and helps prevent dangerous clots. The fiber lowers colon cancer risk and relieves constipation. The chromium supports healthy blood sugar, and the whole package fights chronic inflammation. Both are cheap, both are easy. Both are sitting within walking distance of your kitchen right now. You don't need a $200 supplement from an infomercial. You don't need a detox tea from an Instagram influencer. You don't need to order anything from a shady website. You need real food prepared with intention, eaten with consistency. That's it. That's the secret, and it's not even a secret. It's just common sense backed by science. A few more things from my heart to yours. Before we wrap up, let me say something from the heart, not as a doctor. Just as a human being, real health is not a 30-day challenge. It's not a detox. It's not a juice cleanse you saw on social media. Real health is what you do most days, most years. Most years. It's the small, boring, unsexy choices that add up over time. Choosing green tea rice instead of plain white rice. Soaking a little buckwheat the night before, walking for 15 minutes after dinner instead of sitting on the couch, calling your doctor when something feels off. Not when it's an emergency, going to bed 30 minutes earlier. Drinking one less soda, eating one more vegetable. That's it. That's the whole thing. I became a doctor because I wanted to help people live well, not just live long. And living well means being able to play with your grandkids without getting winded, traveling without worrying about blood clots on a long flight, sleeping through the night without chest pain or shortness of breath, getting out of bed in the morning without aching all over. That's the goal, not a number on a scale, not a perfect lab result. Just more good days, more energy, more freedom, more joy. Now, I want to hear from you if you made it all the way to the end of this video, and I know it was a long one. Thank you, seriously. I know your time is valuable. I know you could have been doing 100 other things. Here's what I'd love you to do. First, if this video helped you or even just made you think differently about your kitchen and your health, give it a thumbs up. It helps YouTube show this video to more people who need it. Second, share this with someone you actually care about, your mom, your dad, your spouse, your neighbor who just got diagnosed with high cholesterol, your coworker who's always tired. Send them the link. You might help them avoid a stroke. You might help them live longer. You might help them feel better. Third, drop a comment below. Tell me, are you going to try green tea rice first or buckwheat rice or both? And if you've already tried something like this, let me know how it went. Did you like it? Did your family like it? Did you notice any changes? I read as many comments as I can. I can't answer every single one. There are too many of you, which is a wonderful problem to have, but I read them. And your stories help other people who are watching. And finally, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell. I put out new videos every week. Real science, no hype, no fear mongering. Just a family doctor trying to help you live better. Legal disclaimer, please read this. This video is for educational purposes only. I am not your personal physician. I have not reviewed your medical records, your lab results, or your medication list. This is not medical advice for your specific situation. Always consult your own doctor before making any changes to your diet, your lifestyle, or your medications, especially if you have an existing medical condition or take prescription drugs. If you are dealing with any health concerns, chest pain, sudden shortness of breath, weakness on one side of your body, difficulty speaking, or anything else that worries you, please schedule a visit with your primary care doctor, or if it's an emergency, call 911 or go to your nearest emergency room. I'm here to help you understand the science. I'm here to empower you with information. I'm not here to replace professional medical advice. Take care of yourself. Seriously, you only get one body. See you in the next video.